Going live. Oh, hey, we're on the air. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm Val Heart, the real Dr. Doolittle. No, not her, me. I'm Val Heart, the real Dr. Doolittle. I'm Animal Communicator to the Stars, founder of the Heart System for solving problems with pets. I'm also the founder and the host of the Animal Talk Coaching Club. Welcome. We want to bring you into our world. I'm here with my colleagues, my professional colleagues. We have something very important to share with you, our hearts, our love of animals, our joy in learning and hearing from them, sharing their voices. It's our passion and our mission to be here with you and to teach you what we know. We want to bring you into the world, the magical world of animal communication. We believe that animals are healers, teachers, angels, and guides. When we learn to recognize and respect them for who they truly are, we revere them. And then they can help us become better people, better humans, better caretakers, better guardians of our planet as well as them. And we can heal, evolve, and grow, which is what it's really all about. So welcome to the show. Today, I am here with a wonderful guest, a kindred spirit, a sister to my soul, I do believe. Susan Francis is my special guest today. Susan is awesome. Susan, oh my God, I'm gonna read this to you, so I hope you forgive me because I couldn't remember it all. She describes herself as a bit of a Sherlock Holmes. So what she does is she helps solve the mysteries that puzzle and baffle humans and about their animals. She's also a telepathic communicator, as am I. She's a medium, a clairsentient. She's been a top reader on the International Pet Psychic line for both people and animals. She's even been on PBS, the TV, which is really awesome. What also makes Susan unique is her background in Chinese medicine and her ability to intuit blocks and imbalances in meridians, in organ systems, and even homes, environments, as well as her use of acupressure, which she learned from a Buddhist Taoist master. Today we're going to talk about how our pets are urgently trying to show us how to restore our personal balance and harmony in a harried world, and how that can help our planet as a whole. And also, since tomorrow is World Animal Day, October the 4th, marches are going to be held all over the world to protect elephants from their imminent extinction due to the bloody ivory trade. These marches are particularly important in the United States, which is the second largest buyer of blood ivory after China, and where legislation is at hand. I hope you will join with us. It's a very important cause. So, Susan will help us explore our spiritual connection to elephants, which are near and dear to my heart as well, and how we can relate to them directly. She's going to offer a variety of things that you can do on the inner and outer planes to help these beloved and magnificent friends. And this does connect to you and your animals, your own pets, as well as the whole world. So, welcome, Susan. I am so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Val. That was lovely. I feel like we're done already, actually.
Well, did it take me that long to introduce you?
So well.
Oh, my God. Okay, our 15 minutes is over. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So let's launch into it, Susan. So just what are our animals trying to tell us about our healing and our harmony at this point in our evolution in our time?
So, Val, I'm going to talk a lot about sort of the yin and the yang of animal communication. What many of us animal communicators focus on is the specific message that they have to give, which so many people aren't picking up. That's very yang. There's also a broader context of how is their balance overall, because that's often what's puzzling people. Why is my dog trying to climb the walls? Why is my cat marking everywhere? What's the issue? And we can get through that in communication. We can also look at a bigger picture of where our balance is and how it's affected. So I'm going to start with a specific story because that all sounds very heady. Certainly not one of the most dramatic of my clients, but it really addresses this. A woman came into my little paw spa one day, extremely distracted. Nice woman, but I immediately felt uncomfortable. Brought in a little dog. I believe it was a Maltese mix, not, you know, Jack Russells are sort of automatically on crack. They can't help it. But this was not a real hyper dog by nature. This dog, back to my point, literally tried to climb the walls when he came in. Could not
Wow.
connect with him. Very hyper little animal. Her attitude was kind of, fix him, I got to get out of here. And she had her cell phone in her hand the whole time. So I finally manage. I get the dog on the far infrared pet bed. I'm doing some acupressure with him. His adrenals are just going crazy. And what I finally get out of him is, she's never with me. She's always busy. She's never with me. And she said, that's absurd. I take him to work. I have him all the time. And he said it again, and I'm slowly trying to work with her, and literally I saw a light bulb come on over her head. This is where the cartoon artist got it. And she said very slowly, does that mean I should not be texting nonstop when I'm walking with him and playing with him?
Duh.
That's a start. That's a start.
That's great.
And the dog looked at her. You know how when they know they're getting it, that they're looking at each other and they're connecting, and the dog heaved a sigh of relief. I did some more acupressure. His food was also wrong for him. He had, in Chinese medicine terms, too much heat in his body. We switched to a formula that was more cooling. I gave her some supplements. Unfortunately, she never came back. That dog had very serious adrenal issues, and I wish she had done more. But, you know, we hope for an inroad. Some people come to us and get it for quite a while. Sometimes we do as much as we can. Yeah. But here's my point. Now, that dog also had issues of his own. I don't ever mean to imply this is all an owner's responsibility. However, we are the sea they are swimming in all the time. So even though they have their own nervous system and their own DNA and the food they eat and the exercise they have, animals, as we know, do not separate in the same way that we tend to over time. They are very interconnected. They keep their individuality, but they're interconnected. I know you know this inside and out. I'm trying to help everybody kind of get this. And they stay connected. We have this too, but we have different brains. I don't want to say more sophisticated brains, but our ability to individuate and boundary off is so much stronger. This little dog was a cork bobbing in the ocean of this woman. He could no longer center himself against her. He desperately wanted to help her, and he couldn't. So it was a big message for this woman. You want to say something there?
Well, I was just, noticing, I call that the human-animal body-mind connection. It's where our animals, I love what you said, they swim in our ocean all the time, and yes, they do. They also mirror our woundings, our issues, our stressors, and they can even carry our issues trying to help us, carrying that for us. So I would not be surprised if that woman also had serious adrenal depletion or issues, So he's like siphoning it off into his own body and acting it out for her if she had the wisdom and with the eyes to know and see and do the inner work, which would allow him to heal and be his own fabulous, wonderful self. So there's such a fascinating, interconnectedness between us and our animals.
Precisely. That is exactly it, and that's why both you and I work with people as well as animals.
Yes.
Chinese medicine, our bodies are an ecosystem, and we live within an ecosystem in which we are interacting all the time.
Yes.
And in Chinese medicine, you don't look for one germ, one accident. If somebody came in the room with a virus, you might get really sick. I might not get sick at all. Somebody else might get kind of medium sick. In Chinese medicine, we would say, what's going on with the balance in the body that happened, that it allowed it in, that it hit one of us like a tsunami and one of us like a raindrop? What's going on there? And it is the same with emotional issues. And in our hassled, hairy lives, which in Chinese medicine terms are excess yang for the most part, too much male energy. Our culture is extremely oriented to doing, doing, doing. We don't have a lot of respect for being, which is where animals live, a lot of indigenous cultures live, certainly where nature lives.
Right, right.
And it's a matter of harmony, but we are extremely out of balance every day, and our animals take the overflow. If there's something we're not willing to feel, they will. If we can't handle it, they will. It's a constant stream going back and forth. So they also, in our very isolated culture, people need more from their animals than they used to. It has gotten out that animals are sentient beings, and they give us the unconditional love. You know, they don't go off to work or the gym, they don't play volleyball. We are their show 24/7. Most people don't really understand how totally connected to us they are.
Yeah.
They don't care how we look when we get up in the morning or when we come home. They're always there. And that deepens this back and forth between us.
Yeah. So I think that's taking us into your second point, which is how they're teaching us about planetary imbalances. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I absolutely do. So in this extremely yang world of ours, which has become very achievement-oriented and more, if yin is the all-encompassing, yin is the ocean, yang is the specific point, yin is the water that surrounds the rocks and slowly wears them down over time, yang picks one point on the rocks and explodes it. Both are needed. Nothing wrong with either. We have become very out of balance in our personal lives. And our personal lives are not separate from what is happening on the planet. I think many of us know Gandhi said, we must be the peace we need to see in the world. We also must be the harmony and the sustainability. And so many people get up and they get going on coffee. They slow down with alcohol. They're living beyond their energetic reserves all the time. That doesn't mean we can't have busy lives, but there are other forms of meditation and exercise and other things that could support us in the ways we are doing, which actually diminish our yin. Coffee and alcohol and a number of other things burn up our yin. So as we're keeping ourselves going, the inner pool is getting more and more depleted. Now, as you look at this on the bigger scale, so we have this culture that has built and grown and expanded not in relation to everything, but in relation to specific points, what we wanted to do. So we all know we've torn down rainforests, where species are being eliminated. The entire biosphere is threatened because of the level of imbalance that we have gotten to. And I think many of us feel overwhelmed and don't know what to do. What concerns me more is, especially in this country, for many of us, our lives are pretty sweet. We're really hidden from what's really going on here. And we see tornadoes and hurricanes and we hear about species extinctions, but the pull of our lives, I need a new car, I need this or that. I mean, there are days I just say, how can we be letting elephants and tigers and a myriad of others be going in our lifetime? And most people don't see, don't know, or if they do, the pain is extraordinary and they don't know what to do. So here's my point. There are both yin and yang ways that we can deal with this. I think animal communicators especially can play a crucial role, and an uncomfortable role because it's hard to bring this up. I've already had some feedback. You know, very spiritual people don't want us to condense it and talk about it. Activists don't want to approach it from a spiritual perspective. And there's validity to all of that. But I think what we need to remember every day is, I mean, for example, activists are very yang. They want to do something, they want to be very specific, and I think that's fantastic. Here's a context for it. Here's how we need to reintegrate the yin and yang to heal this. Some of our listeners may have heard of Andrew Harvey. Andrew, I think, is just one of our leading spiritual luminaries today. Raised in India, trained at Oxford, translated Rumi and the Tibetan Book of the Living and the Dying, expert on Christ, and he is one of the most passionate advocates for the planet. And what he talks about is that when we do spiritual activism, we are integrating. And in spiritual activism, we're not trying to fix it out there. It's exactly what you said at the beginning. How do we start with our own imbalances? How do we notice the imbalances of our animals, of our area around us, and how do we bring that back to us and what we're doing? And we can still take it out in the world, but we take it anchored in what's our own consciousness? What's my own harmony in my life every day? And we don't do it perfectly. You know, there are wonderful people who are working to the bone, but we try our best to bring ourselves back to center. Some other people really hold the spiritual energy. Here's, I think, a very important thing to understand that I have really watched in the last 20 years. On a collective level, you can see that we are burning the yin. And how this is happening is some wonderful things. The growth of technology. It's not just expansion in building, which has gone berserk, and in taking over arable lands and in destroying forests everywhere, but we have constant technology. Our phones, our iPads, our televisions, our computers are everywhere with a huge amount of electromagnetic frequency. This is very fiery energy. Not only that, how we receive it burns our yin. We can see, God help us, somebody getting beheaded in Syria in a split second. Yeah. There's always been barbarity, but how it gets around and how we're all access to it is burning us all the time. And we feel we should be literally plugged in. We feel we need to be on top of it. There isn't a lot of valuing for, I'm going to turn it all off and take a walk in nature or cuddle with my animal, which is a form of meditation. That's not real jazzy these days. Yeah. So slowly the collective yin has burned, and how I see this is, even if you watch television, and I wasn't, God bless Tipper Gore, but back in the day I wasn't so much on her side, but I am scandalized by, even in the past years, how much more violent things have gotten, and nobody watches. Unthinkable things on standard television shows that we just take in. Unthinkable things happening in the world. Again, there's always been barbarism, but there's an aura of bullying going on in schools, going on in the government, going on in countries, going on to animals, going on to ecosystems. What that is the yin that softens things and allows flow has depleted, and the yang is out of balance. And every one of us live this every day. I don't want to discourage people. I want to encourage them. Yeah. So I'm going to stop and let you say what you want to stay there.
Well, I'm watching our time, and I want to bring it back. What can we do? What do you want? What can we do, like right now? What would you want us to do right now to help?
Yes. So for all of us, there's a very interesting thing. Yin is in some ways regarded as more powerful than yang because it's everything. It enfolds everything. Please, for everyone watching, it is not a small thing. This sounds silly. To drink enough water, to be in more water, to revere water, because it's a huge part of what's going on in our planet. Water is being depleted, diluted. The oceans are becoming out of balance. They don't have as much salt. The poles are melting, huge amount. Hold that within yourself. Be aware of our schedules. Do our spiritual practices. Marion Woodman said to go out in this world without doing your spiritual practices is like fighting a forest fire dressed in a paper tutu. You know?
Great analogy. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, and I know for myself, if I don't start my day absolutely with meditation, with prayer, with centering, with asking for guidance, dedicating everything I do to the highest good.
Yes. That is it.
Then the whole day it's like catch-22, play catch up. Things are going to go wrong. You can and I'm going to winding up like a top, being more and more stressed until I break away and reconnect and reground and center. I have to teach this to every one of my students, all my clients, everyone I touch as best if I can. And me too. Yes. And me too, Yeah.
Yes, me too. Absolutely. I don't mean to imply I'm separate from this at all. And our animals are like early warning devices. If you think about, even in small ways, they come over when we're out of balance. They bat at us. They try to get us to play. We may think it's an annoyance. Even us, we may not pick up what's going on. They're feeling it in their adrenals. They're totally aware of what's going on. So they're wonderful supports and reminders, and the animals on the planet are serving the same form. They are taking the overflow, the mass species extinctions going on. And to go to elephants, elephants are this magical combination of hugely yin and hugely yang. They are sometimes regarded as the most emotionally connected. They have these huge memories in spiritual terms. They're often related to Ganesh, which is the Hindu form of, one of the Hindu forms of the divine, which has to do with, and I'm totally blanking, I don't know why. Who's Ganesh? Val, remind me.
Who's Ganesh? Right. Baba Ganesh. It's interesting in Ayurvedic medicine. Ganesh is also considered one of the. I want to call it a demigod, but it's connected to the spinal cord and
Yes.
the area in the brain where our body comes into our mind. So it's like a gateway, a consciousness gateway to what we allow and what we feel and what we're connected to. I think I love that you brought that in. I work with that in the healing, but in this I hadn't connected the concept.
Yes. So all of the archetypes that elephants are to us, and please try to remember when you think of Dumbo and Babar, they're huge in our collective consciousness. You know, circuses to this day, please do not go if they have elephants. They take them young. It's horrific treatment. They use certain things to train them that are awful. Like, this is something that is going away. But the reason we go is we hunger for them. We love
want to touch them. Yeah, we want to connect with them in some way. Yeah.
Right, and what they represent. So here's an example of what's happening to elephants. The blood ivory trade, even if you look at World Wildlife Fund and others, it is at the most vicious that it has ever been. It is at the highest rate that it has ever been.
I just I don't understand it. Why would anyone have any interest in ivory? Period. In this day and age, there's no excuse for it, and that we're destroying our amazing, incredible elephants just for their ivory. It makes no, friggin' sense. It makes me very angry.
And it is a specific example of extreme yang cut off from yin.
Yeah.
These people are not living in an ecosystem. All they care about is giving the ivory, having whatever that means to the people who buy it, and who cares for the consequences? Well, there are very major consequences to our ecosystems because elephants are a keystone species. Much happens underneath them. But to our collective consciousness with the loss of them and many, many, many other species that are right on the edge. Yeah. And I feel in a spiritual way that they are trying to wake us up. So what's important is on Saturday there are marches going on all over the world. I wish I could say it was surely from compassion, but what is happening is that poachers are coming in with automatic weapons, very sophisticated machinery, breaking into preserves and elsewhere, killing in the most barbarous ways that we will not discuss. And they are destroying government systems, and they're very affiliated with organized crime. So many nations that don't have the money to fight this, they're already working with their people, are needing the support. But why so many countries have gotten involved, US and China are the biggest blood ivory markets. And it's supporting organized crime and all sorts of other things that are causing havoc and chaos all over the world. So there really is a movement. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm embarrassed for my species.
Yes, we have much to be embarrassed for, and we have much to remember the light for. It is a holding of the yin and the yang at this time. Yeah. And I've had people already be angry at me saying, don't give energy to this, don't bring it up, that just feeds it. And in a way I believe it, but I think it's what we do with our consciousness around it that makes the difference. Yeah. So on Saturday there are marches all over the world.
I was just going to say that, they say the only thing that we need to do to let evil thrive is for good men to stand by and do nothing. Yes, yes. And to watch. I mean, people love to watch elephants on TV and in cartoons. We live in a virtual world. There have been wonderful, wonderful movies that I give Hollywood a lot of credit for in the past several years. How to Train Your Dragon, Happy Feet, many of them deeply environmental, teaching about harmony. Have they made a difference in how many species are going under? We live in a virtual world. We are pretty afraid to wake up to what is actually going on. And I don't blame people. It is remarkably painful. Yeah.
It is extraordinarily painful, and that is why we need our spiritual practices to
Yes.
protect ourselves if we choose to wake up.
Yes.
Before the pain that comes if we don't will be so much more severe.
So what
So,
can we, so Susan, what can we do? What do you what do you want us to do?
so there's the yin and the yang of all of this. So there is the website, March for, the number 4, elephantsandrhinos.com. Marches all over the country, all over the U.S. on Saturday. You can't march.
Say the website again.
March, number 4, elephantsandrhinos.com.
Thank you. Okay.
And you can look up your city, see what's nearby. But if you're not there, they have petitions relating to elephants all over the world. It is a wonder what signing online can do. Please do not feel that's useless. Governments, states, areas have changed policies many times because of online petitions. Your voice matters. People need to understand it actually matters.
Awesome. Okay.
There are other sites. World Wildlife Fund has got a lot. Born Free USA has got a lot. I don't mean to leave out it. There are many, many organizations so trying to focus our energy on this against the flow of day-to-day life that puts elephants in cartoons and doesn't let us know what's happening to them in the flesh. Because it's painful.
Okay. Okay. So everyone go to those sites and get involved in whatever way you can. If you can march, have the fun of it. But support the organizations. If you can't do anything more than center and pray, or you know, do that. Do it. Just fucking do it.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Those who communicate with their animals, ask their message around this.
Yes.
Animals know. Andrew Harvey came back from a trip from Ecuador with saying that animals are actually holding convocations around the world. Some people may find this absurd, but they're doing the same we are, saying, how do we intervene with this? How do we get through to them? They don't do it in a linear way like we're saying right now. And they are sending messages to people's pets, to our domesticated animals. If you're a communicator, be willing to what they have to say. And don't forget that your personal harmony, you know, in the Eastern forms, when you go around a Buddhist temple and you look at the Buddha all the way to the top, sometimes all that changes is what finger is facing up. And I don't mean that finger. It's not about that. What it's saying is the subtle affects the solid so much more strongly. Do not feel your meditations are in vain. Do not feel working with your animal, looking at your own lifestyle, your own flow of yin and yang, where you put your consciousness and your attention. All of these things make a difference. Going to sleep is the thing to not do, and it is so tempting because it's very painful when you get in touch with what's really going on. And that's where the spiritual practices help.
Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your inspiration and your passion and your love today.
Thank you for doing this, Val. Blessings on you. Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to offer the guests before we finish up today?
You know, I would love to do a very brief prayer that I wrote years ago when I worked with a huge church that had an animal ministry, and a brief meditation. They'll be quick. So the prayer, and I'll get this on my web, is I pray for all the species under the water and for the water itself. I pray for all the species on the land and the land itself. I pray for all the species in the air and the air itself, and I pray that our hearts and minds open in courage and wisdom to take the right action, to restore the right relationship, to heal ourselves, our plants, our animals, and our planet. And then I have fun with it. I pray like more stars like Leo DiCaprio, who has done a huge amount for animals, a variety of stars. Get out there, because we're a culture that gets caught up in that. I pray that the enlightened CEOs buy the factories that are standing empty and start churning out the wind and the solar, because it can be done fast. When we entered in World War II, in 3 months we changed the purposes of factories. We can do this now. We can help ourselves and so many more. I pray these things. I have fun with it. Please, people, we need to have fun and keep our sense of humor in the midst of this. And I like praying about Leo DiCaprio. It works.
That works for me. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love
and a few others. George Clooney, a few others. So
Oh, yeah.
there we are. That's 3 or 4. Who's
Yes,
doing truly
indeed.
meaningful work, truly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can work with our
Okay.
culture, not against it. We work with
Okay.
what's going on. So brief meditation, if everyone will take a moment and put a hand over their heart. And feel the blood flow in their heart. And I would love you to see elephants in this perfect bubble drop of water, of yin. And around it is a sparkling exterior like a rainbow that is the yang, the exterior, the harder. This beautiful, and breathe into it. Feel your love and appreciation of elephants. And with each breath, let this increase and magnify. So it's filling your heart. It's filling your heart, and it's flowing out your heart meridians down your arms and into your hands and flowing out into the world. And we are sending forth this beautiful, balanced energy to go forth wherever it can find fertile soil, fertile consciousnesses, wherever it can take hold, to allow ourselves to have this heartbreaking love for these animals that have inspired all of us for a very long time. To the consciousnesses that can do something, to soften the hard-hearted, out of balance consciousnesses, to let at least animals know in spirit we love them. This is flowing forth from our palms into the collective consciousness. And please never think that your meditations are in vain. As the world goes on, we are more and more being lifted up. Energy is less dense. Our prayers and meditation make more difference than they ever have. And daily surround them in love and every other species that you care about. And for those of you who do spiritual practices, do that. For those who want to march in the streets, do that. For those who are integrating both, do that. And bless you all for not going to sleep. Please just don't go to sleep.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Val. Blessings.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. You've been watching an episode of the Real Dr. Doolittle Show. This is part of the How to Talk to Animals, Animal Communication Professional Colleague mini training series. Please don't keep us a secret. Feel what you feel, learn what you learn, grow, heal, evolve. Our planet needs us, our animals need us. And remember to get your free animal communication starter kit so you can start learning how to talk to them now, because they need you now. All right. Thank you, Susan. I adore you. I love you. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Bless you.
Right. Okay, everybody. Bye. See you next time.